How goes it, everybody? Welcome back to another video for you guys. We're talking about this whole device unlock thing that's going on with Verizon and how Verizon actually reached out and is wanting feedback based on the whole device network unlocking. Device network unlocking basically is that when you buy a phone for, like, say, for example, Verizon, the phone is locked to the Verizon network. You can't put a T-Mobile SIM or AT&T SIM in it. So after their current policy, which is 60 days, after 60 days, then the phone will be unlocked and you can put any other SIM inside of it and the phone is going to work unless it's not compatible with that carrier's network, which most phones here in the US are going to be compatible with all three carriers' networks. There's two sides to this story, and I am going to talk about both because I see it from the consumer side and I see it from the business side. Consumer side is that none of the phones should be device locked to any network. It doesn't matter if you financed the phone or paid full price for the phone, but some people believe that, when the phone is in your possession, it's going to end up being in your possession. It's your phone, even though you're still making monthly payments on it. It should be able to be network unlocked. You should be able to freely take the phone where you want to go. And don't get me wrong, I support that. I support that 100%. I agree that if someone finances a phone and they take the phone and they don't pay it off and they go to a different provider, that's going to impact their credit. But if you know basic things about your credit score and things like that, then you should know that any negative mark on your credit only holds on to your credit for 7 years before it falls off. And it also depends what you're trying to finance. If you're trying to finance a brand new car, if you're trying to finance a house, certain things that's on your credit report is, they overlook because it's not something important to them. And some things will play a part in a judgment decision, whether you could be extended a line of credit or not. So I see why people are like, hey, you know what? They screw their credit up, then they screw it up. But there are people out there who are willing to deal with 7 years of a negative remark just to let it fall off on its own. And no, it doesn't completely go away, but there's a 7-year limitation on that negative mark impacting your credit. But then there's the business side of things. And on the business side of things with these carriers, one of the reasons why they do want to lock devices and have a lock policy in place where these devices are locked to their network is because they're trying to avoid people jumping ship just to buy the phone at a discounted rate or, promotions, which, as a matter of fact, when you have devices fully network unlocked, we can pretty much guarantee that a lot of these carriers are going to stop with any subsidized payment for a phone or, any type of deal like, buy one, get 3 free or, half off this phone for signing up and switching today. Like, we're going to see a lot of those things go away because these companies know that if they sell phones at that price, people are going to jump just to get the phone and then dig out. Like I said, there's already people doing that right now. There's already people that actually do this and they don't care if it messes up their credit. They just want to get the phone at a cheaper price. So that's to be expected. On top of that, it presents false data. When people kind of look at these companies, like they look at Boost Mobile, they look at Verizon, you see the churn rate, right? Which is, customers that leave the company. But how many of those customers are leaving the company because the company is not fulfilling the wants of the customer? How many of them are leaving because they switched to the carrier just to get that phone at a discounted price, only to switch back to the previous provider they were on? You would have to decipher so much numbers to try to figure out which is actually considered customers leaving your company for, poor quality service and which was just there just to get the deal. It creates a lot of extra work for people to do. And, we may not even think about that because we're not in the trenches doing it. But when you start to think about it, you gotta ask yourself, do you want to be handed a bunch of data and be told, hey, cipher through all this and figure out which is actual legitimate customers leaving and which ones were just here for the deal on the iPhone 16e and dipped out? I'm telling you guys, I wouldn't even want to do that. So that's the two sides of the coins when it comes to device network unlocking. And, Dish kind of weighed in on that because Verizon's current unlock policy is 60 days. And that has to do with a deal that happened way back for, I think it was like 700 megahertz spectrum. In that deal, they were required to unlock devices after 60 days. Technically, Verizon didn't want to do that. And if you look at a lot of the other carriers out there, they don't do that. Boost does like 1 year. You have to be active service 1 year and they'll unlock your phone to go on any network. And the same with Metro by T-Mobile. They used to be, 6 months. Now it's 1 year. And I believe Simple Mobile, Straight Talk, a lot of them that, sell locked devices, they have a similar policy, like 1 year before they will unlock it. So Dish weighed in on all this, and they want, a uniform unlock policy. So a policy that applies to every carrier. So if they set it for like 6 months, then that would mean that it doesn't matter if Boost Mobile wants the phones locked for a whole year. They would have to follow those guidelines and unlock devices after 6 months. I don't know how well this is going to work out, because currently right now carriers name the length of time before they will network unlock your phone. They have that power within their hands, and Dish agrees that there should be a uniform time limit that all carriers have to abide by, which I can see that and agree with that. I would think it would be great if every carrier was told, hey, you know what, you can only keep a device network locked for 6 months, and then you must unlock it. I would be cool with that. Because at the end of the day, while a lot of people would say, hey, we shouldn't have network locks at all, you're right. If you're willing to always pay full price for a phone, there should be no network locks. I feel like that a lot of carriers will take away all these really good deals we get if that was to happen, where every device was network unlocked. The only exception to the rule is Google Fi, because I've financed phones from Google Fi and they're already network unlocked. If I wanted to, I can go somewhere else with the phone, but I choose to stay with Google Fi because I like the services that they also provide. But that's the exception to the rule. And if a lot of other carriers start doing this, this would be a great way to get rid of subsidized pricing and online deals and all that other stuff. You would just have to pay full price for the phone. And there's people out there that can't. Like, everyone can look to thy own wallet and say, I can afford it, but it doesn't mean everybody out there can. And we're not the golden standard to say that everyone should be like us. People have different walks of life, and that's something I always try to think about when in these discussions. That is the current predicament that Verizon's in. We don't know if they're going to extend the network unlock policy for a lot longer time. People have been very vocal. I think the petition's already closed already regarding if people wanted to change from 60 days to a different extended length. But you guys can weigh in on your thoughts in the comments of the video. Would love to read your guys' thoughts on this whole thing, whether you support it, whether you're against it, and what do you think about a whole uniform device unlock policy that all carriers must abide by, or do you think that the carriers should just keep the power within themselves to decide when their devices get unlocked? Y'all do that in the comment section of the video, and thanks for checking this one out, and I'll see you in the next one.